Okay, there you go.
All right, I'm so happy to be here with you, Susan. Looking forward to engaging in this conversation and wondering if we should start by introducing ourselves and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, Julia. Well, shall I introduce
Yeah,
myself and then flip it back to you? How about that?
please.
Okay, so I'm Susan Caesar. I'm originally from the UK. I'm now living in Chicago. I've been here a couple of years. Um, and my career has been around digital transformation in global organizations. So really looking at how digital tools, help employees and staff get the best out of the organizations they're connected to. And that has really made me think clearly about how these organizations serve people. And so I'm very human centric or human focused. And then after I left Airbnb, which was my last corporate role, I set my own non-profit up called Humane Org, which is advocating for the ethical and responsible use of AI in a way that serves humans. And then that led me to the ICF, which is where I currently work as the director of AI for ICF. So that's me. How about you?
Thank you for sharing that. Um, and that's where I got to meet you was at the International Coaching Federation. And what attracted me to you was your humanity. And so thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm really glad that we're here talking and deepening this conversation. So about me, I'm in Montreal, Canada, and raising two boys. That always feels like part of my conversation and introduction because it's very pertinent and top role, a huge role in my life.
Mm.
Gratefully, so they're 14 and 12. Work wise and purpose wise, I am a coach. I've been coaching for many, many years since 2007, certified. And I do a lot of mentoring with different training schools, coach accredited schools, and I coach individuals all over the world in all areas of life, from creatives to entrepreneurs to executives and senior roles to athletes, people wanting to make a difference in the world and connect to their intuition, their inner wisdom, and use it for change, positive change for themselves, their families, their organizations, their nations, their communities, the earth. I also create immersive experiences for people and groups and organizations to inspire creative thinking, innovation, spark creativity. I'm the host of an event called Dance Your Intuition, which I love talking about. And I have a podcast, which also is another immersive experience, inviting people into transformational audio experiences.
Mm.
And love being in conversation with people
Mm.
like you. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, like you, I also have a podcast and I'm interested. I mean, the reason I do that is to open up the conversation around how AI is serving the world, really. It's how it's helping us in our day to day. But like you, it's those ripple effects. How does it help me? And actually also like you, I'm on my pathway to ACC, being a coach. So I am in that
Amazing.
process at the moment. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So where do we begin? Well, maybe I could just bring us back to when I first met you. It was at the Coaching Federation conference in San Diego in October of 2025, and I went to your workshop with James Farnham,
Barnum. Yeah.
and you both just felt deeply human to me, despite like me thinking artificial intelligence. What may I receive? But the fact that you were both so approachable and so supportive and so interested in us learning and mitigating any fears we may have or demystifying AI perceptions or biases felt very top forward center for you, and so it was just very approachable. And I met other coaches, and I asked questions. You came over to me. I was like, oh, and you just were very approachable and kind, and it just was a really welcoming way to experience AI and my introduction to really hands-on getting into the tools more profoundly. So yeah, thank you for that.
No, and thank you for participating and for your questions, which we're still, finding ways to, um, I think, helping people think about the whole kind of digital footprint. So, as the world becomes more integrated, how are we, how are we kind of aware of where our data is, how it's connected, how it's, all of those things are going to be more important, I think, nowadays. And we can't really extract ourselves from all of those digital assets because it's part of our daily lives now. So yeah. Um, and what was great about Converge, obviously meeting you, but also just in that room, seeing everybody being able to use AI on their mobile phones and get results out of it in the moment, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's great just to see everybody participating in that way.
It was very hands-on and practical and inspired new ideas for myself. And
Mm,
also, I then pursued some other workshops in AI and um, another component. And, of course, I want to hear how your experience with AI. But I had one of the pre-conference tracks was around for mentors and supervisors. And one of the takeaways, I guess AI came up in conversation, and I'm sure I don't know if he's been in one of your conversations, but Akihiko Morita from Japan,
mm, mhm.
scholar and I think philosopher. And he said something very profound for me, speaking to the philosopher, not trained, but just the philosophical soul in me, that said AI is helping us become better humans.
I agree with that, actually. I think it's the more that we are removed from the kind of robotic tasks that we've been doing in our work, all the way really since the Industrial Revolution, we've been conditioned to do things that aren't really natural for humans. And now we have AI that can help take those repetitive tasks and do it at scale. It's freeing us up. So now we're liberated and we go, okay, well, what does it mean to be human? And how might we lean into more of those things that make us uniquely human, our
Mm,
presence, our wisdom, you mentioned earlier on, intuition, creativity, all of those things are the domain really of humans. So how might we do more of that?
yeah, and that's the part that attracts me to this conversation because a lot of the coaching that I do is transformational coaching. It's about presence, listening, connecting to one's interior. And I know you have your podcast, and you speak to the human centric
Mm,
AI.
mm,
And I also don't want to be behind the eight ball. Like I like to be sort of at the edge, if I can be, of emerging ideas, and probably not technologies because I would like to be, but I can't say I'm an early adopter
mm,
because I do have some hesitancy. And so maybe we could speak to that because I know you have this idea of
mm,
if we could move from fear to flow.
mm,
And I think probably there's a lot of us that can relate to that with relationship to AI.
mm. Yeah, I am curious. So what is your hesitancy?
Um, I mean, it almost feels like supremely naive to be hesitant about it because it's here and I think it's more about what is it that I'm not seeing or what don't I know about it that can be supportive and helpful. And,
Mm,
as a parent, so I have some concerns about it. I think, but it's just changing the lens on how it can contribute to us evolving and deepening and transforming,
mm,
not how it'll be a competitive force and will take over, whatever we're being fed in the media or whatever algorithm I'm seeing where AI seems dangerous. That's plays into it as well.
mm. I mean, the competitiveness, I think fear of job loss is probably the number one
Yeah.
concern that people have. And yet, I don't see that happening, especially within the coaching world. Coaching is not going to become an AI domain. Coaching is about an embodied lived experience that you then share with another human being. And it's in that moment of resonance that you get that aha moment. That's not going to happen with a piece of AI. AI is not going to
Right.
be able to relate to us in a way that it understands the the implications of what does it feel like to be human?
Mm,
What do the decisions you're making? How might that transform your life? What does that mean for you as a person in the context of everything that you've done and who and everyone that you know? I mean, it's not going to understand that. Um, so we don't need to compete with it. What we need to do is figure out, well, what is it good at and what is it not good at? So what it's good at is things that are about systematic patterns, patterns at scale, repetitive tasks, things that are, you know, system one things of the brain, the executive function. It's good at those types of things,
Hmm.
scheduling things, remembering that you've got to do role play, and those types of things are all good to do with AI. But the other aspects of coaching, like you've mentioned, the transformational aspects, those are the domain of the humans. So if we could think about the AI helping with tasks, but the transformation is human.
Mm. I guess the word that's coming to me as I'm listening to is yet. AI is not relational yet, or it's not able to pick up cues or a felt sense yet. I don't I don't believe that to be possible. Or I don't know. Like there's so much that I don't know. And so I've just heard conversations around, well, we don't know that yet. It's developing levels. There's ways to become more empathetic, or the listening will change. And so I'm just curious because I'm here. There's coaching avatars, I guess you can be bombarded by, not you, me, by all these possibilities. And I can't say that I'm operating from fear when I think about AI so much as just I probably will not choose to adopt it because of that. And that's not the right attitude to have
Mm.
either, you
Mm.
know. It's like, how do I work with it? How do I collaborate? How does it could be a thought partner?
Mm.
That's the way I've worked it out for myself right now. Like it could be a thought partner,
Mm.
you know.
Well, and it is a tool. I mean,
It's a
I know,
tool.
you,
Let's not overdo it, right?
right. Well,
It's a
and
tool.
I mean, I was going to go to a place where, because you said it can't do these things yet. And I was going to go, well, okay, if we future cast, right, let's say at some point it could have a physical presence. There could be a silicon representation of a person. It could have AI embedded within it, and therefore it could have synthesized intelligence. But if you imagine you and I, like imagine me being a silicon AI thing, um, you're still not going to have that relationship with it, I don't think, because you know that it doesn't have a lived experience. It doesn't know what it means to be a baby growing up and, going
Right.
to school
Yeah,
and,
I
all of
agree.
those things, right?
Yeah,
So it's never going to be us.
right.
And therefore, let's just stick with the tool for now.
Yeah, let's stick with the tool. I'm in agreement with that.
And it's a frustrating tool, actually. If you really, I've been using it a lot, and it doesn't remember everything. You have
Yeah,
when you're working in a session, it has a limit of tokens. So when it gets to a certain threshold of tokens,
right.
its memory starts to go. So,
Yeah,
there are limitations to it, which is why I encourage people to really play with it and get used to where those what it's good at for you. So how might you use it in ways that help your practice?
right. I guess I was stuck on the artificial intelligence, like the word artificial. It's not a word that I'm generally attracted to, you
Mm.
know? So it's get like, what if you had to rename this
Well, I know I would love to have done
technology?
that. Yeah, I wouldn't have called it intelligence. I did a podcast after Pope Francis passed away, and I did a lot of research on what his views on AI were, and it was a great aha moment for me because he said we should never have called it intelligence because the intelligence is about the embodied lived experience, and so therefore it can never be that. And so, yeah, even to give it that label is wrong. So I call it a tool.
A tool. And if you had to name the tool, what would you call it?
Well, an assistant or an agent or something like that, because it's about being a partner to us. So it's a tool that can help us in
Would you have the
certain
word data in
tasks.
it? Like
Hmm?
data? Would you have the word data in it?
Um, I- Probably, although I think it can do more than just data. So it's more than
Right.
a calculator or,
Right.
something, an Excel spreadsheet is more than that. Because it is seeing patterns and it's making a connection between those pieces of data in order that it then creates something or comes up with something.
It's like,
Um,
and the word artificial,
it definitely is artificial. I'd leave it. Artificial is
you
okay.
would
Yeah, I'm okay
artificial,
with that. And synthesize and all of those so that it helps us know that it's
that
a
it's not
it's
real.
not real.
Yeah.
But I
I
wouldn't
guess
call it
that's
a
a whole other
name.
conversation.
I know
Sorry?
I wouldn't give it a name. I know some people call their AIs a name to make it more relatable, and I
Personified.
wouldn't do
Yeah.
that because I
Yeah.
just want to keep the boundaries clear.
How do you feel about the AI avatar coaching tools?
Well, I think they have a place. So when I think about, I would prefer that they weren't called AI coach, and I will try to amplify that and see if I can help the profession rename things so that we've got the boundaries clear. However, I think that the tools that are there perform the functions. What they're doing is they're building those AI coaching tools in a
Right.
way that they're making the best use of AI for the things
Right.
it's good at in order that it can help within a practice. So it is doing the things around role play, scheduling, uh, alerts for habits, tracking people's patterns in development. All of those things are helpful. So I mean, I work with a lot of the providers that are building that tech. And so I think they're doing a good job. So when you go for AI in coaching,
Yeah.
those tools are built specifically with our competencies and our practice in mind.
That's interesting that you would rename it. You wouldn't call it AI coach. It sounds like tool is a word that feels, I mean, that feels like a more, um, um, sort of I keep using the word attractive, but it doesn't inspire fear when I hear
Mm,
AI coach. You know, it's
mm,
like what's happening, who's taking over. You
mm,
know,
mm,
it feels more like a tool. Yeah, we all need tools. We're constantly learning
hmm
and acquiring more skills and tools, and this is just another one.
It is. It is. And eventually it'll become, it is already actually. I mean, it's so embedded within the things that you're using on a day-to-day basis that
Yeah,
I think we'll stop thinking about it at some point. It'll just be there and it's part of the fabric of life.
right.
Like electricity, we don't think about where the electricity comes from when we flick on a switch. We
Yeah,
just expect light to be there.
right. Yeah. So, I guess the better question is, well, how do I use it? How do we use it and take advantage of its if, of its effectiveness and value.
Mm. Well,
I
again,
guess as coaches, but as as coaches, would that be helpful to
mm.
answer?
Yeah, I mean, I do see a difference. Well, there is a difference between the generic large language models, LLMs, like
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. All of those are tools, large language models that have been built for the masses, if you like, and they are not specific to the coaching space so therefore there is a difference between those and leveraging something that has been built for the coaching practice.
Yeah.
So if you're using those generic ones in your practice, I would use them for things like creating emails, creating a lead magnet, something you put out there to attract customers to you, things that you might use in sales and marketing, so things that are not critical to the coaching profession itself. And obviously,
Right.
always check whatever the AI is giving you back for accuracy and ensuring actually when you are signing up for those tools that you read the service agreement so you know where your data is being held, who sees your data, all of those good things, and never put personally identifiable data in any AI for sure. And then when you think about the AI built tools, for the coaching profession, they have been built in a way, and again, check the service agreement and check with the providers. But the ones that I talk to, they build their technology with our code of ethics in mind and with our AI framework and standards. So they are building in it, they are attempting to be ethical and responsible as they build their technology. And then there's lots of different tools out there. Some of them help the coach, so they're helping the
Hmm.
coach summarize sessions, spot patterns in terms of somebody's if they're naming a goal, are they working towards that goal, are they getting stuck in the same areas? These types of patterns can be helpful. Prompting for habits and role play, journaling, all of these things are good. And,
Yeah.
there are tools that can help with that if you choose to invite it into your practice, but
Right.
it's not essential. But I do think it's important that people have awareness of AI. So if you choose not to adopt it in your practice, that's okay. But more of your clients are going to be using AI. And so you have to have some level of awareness, I think.
Yeah. I mean, definitely it's my responsibility to upskill my technology capacity and ability and knowledge. And when my coaches are presenting me with, this is the prompt that I gave ChatGPT. Can we work on this? Or they're coming in with their note takers in Zoom, and so it's incumbent upon me to just be a few steps, even, well, definitely alongside them, but even ahead of
Hmm.
like what may I offer them, even if they are interested in
Hmm.
being additionally supported between sessions, or
Hmm.
you know other ways of thinking, or optimizing it. So when I after the conference, I enrolled in some workshops, and I could see how it could become very time consuming to commit to the learning of it. Like, it's a whole other field, right? And
Hmm.
it's amazing to me how many coaches, how many people in technology, they're obviously knee deep in it. And it's vast, right? There's
Hmm.
so many areas.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so as a coach, I just try to find that balance between, the learning and the applying of the tools, how to be practical with it, and also stay up to date.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it can be overwhelming. I can see that the amount of choices and the areas you can go into. But when I think about that, I just think take one step, find a tool, play with it. Uh,
Yeah,
whether it's a generic LLM and you're just having a go, see what it does, being curious, or if you're using a free trial of one of the AI for coaching specific things, just having a go is a good thing, and do maybe a little bit, see what you find on one day and maybe the next day, or maybe just do it once a week, but it's just
right.
start,
Yeah,
that's the
just
thing.
start.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, can't leave this behind. I mean, my kids are like, you have to be on top of this. You got to use AI.
Well, I was
And
going to ask you about how your sons are bringing those conversations into the family home. I don't know if they're allowed to use it at school, but how are they feeling about AI?
I mean, I don't think they question it the way I do, that's for sure.
Mm.
It's just something that's integrated. And I notice, like, my 12-year-old he'll use ChatGPT. And so there's that. I just want to be smart about it. I mean, and informed. And so, yeah, I think it's just doing my due diligence around that,
Hmm.
because there is potential. Like, when I was traveling this summer, I used ChatGPT for itineraries.
Hmm.
There's many good uses of it. I know what's helpful and what's not, and so I can discern, right?
Hmm.
So we have to have that critical, discerning perspective
Hmm.
as well when we're using it. I'm sure you could speak to that.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things um, I chair a coalition, and so in that group, we're thinking about how do we ensure that we can create some public awareness so people stay safe when they're
Right.
using either any type of AI. So we're investigating where does AI do harm to people and where does AI do harm to the planet, and how might we surface more of that conversation so that we can start, well, hopefully trying to change the trajectory, if you like, or and I don't know what that looks like right now, but
Yeah.
that's what we're looking at because I think yes, it's when I was just thinking of your sons, then as you were describing, I was hoping that they're getting whether it's guidance from school or guidance from somewhere, how do they ensure that they're interacting with it in a way that is safe and going to keep them from harm.
I'm not sure what's happening at school, but my husband and I are having critical conversations about it.
Mm.
And already, just the competing nature of screens and technology
Mm.
is, is something, and requires a lot of effort. And so it's one is, how much do we embrace it? Like you said, the ethics, the safety of it, do no harm. You know, I mentioned to my son I think he wanted to create something. He's into magic, and he was creating something with AI. And I said, do you know how much that is like how many resources are required to create that image, and I didn't have the answer for it, but I know that the environmental impact.
Mm.
And I know that, I mean, that's what has drawn me to your work as well, and listening to your podcasts, is how deeply human you
Mm.
are, and interested in the ethical components, and making this
Mm.
sustainable, and bringing it to the attention of everyone. And making it accessible. So you certainly have done that for me, and I continue to listen to your work. And thank you for what you're doing. What else? I mean, I know there's a lot that I'm talking a lot, just noticing that. Um, I don't talk a lot as a coach, but definitely when I'm in conversation.
This is,
What do you want
yeah.
to say that I haven't asked you? What did you?
Um, well, I guess so I think the planet aspect, I care deeply about that. And so my humane org, that area is I am looking at how we can advocate for female leaders, but also regenerative design. So the the factors of AI in the context of humanity and in the context of the planet, I care deeply about that. So I'm hoping in 2026 I can surface more of that in ways where we can advocate for change, or at least make people aware. I mean, but I do hope that with the ICF, I probably have an opportunity to see how we might change policy or how we might create awareness and activism. I don't know, but that's what's in my mind, to do more there. I think we owe it to the future generations.
I agree with you.
Mm.
Um, I know you said you don't know a couple of times and what that might look like, but where would you like it to? What direction would you like it to head in?
Well, I see. So, for instance, the in the US at the moment, what some of the government or legislative bodies are doing it, they're using the Consumer Act that's already there to take action against the large language models, Google, OpenAI, etc. And what they're doing is they're using the consumer space of, how are you ensuring that they're kept safe through. And so I think we'll start to see more of that. But if we didn't, that would be the space. It's like, well, if we find out facts, let's find out how.
Right.
I want to be evidence based, but when we see something, like for instance, I I was in a conversation on a podcast about how many people had lost their lives as a consequence of working with AI or
Wow.
talking to it or that relationship
Right.
with AI. And I don't know the specific fact, but one is wrong, right? And so
Mm,
when I think about that one life, that motivates me to do something to
mm,
affect positive change.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the same with the planet, that I know that the water usage uh,
Yeah.
is a concern, and I believe that humanity has we are ingenious. it, we are creative and innovative. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember the other word, but and therefore I think we'll figure that out. I think we'll figure out how to make it less demanding on water, or we'll find alternatives. Um, so yeah, how do I help with that? Which body of science might I advocate for that might help with that? Those are the types of things I'm exploring at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah. When I think about the positive use of AI, and of course, I'm again, like, there's a naivete around it and its capacity and how it could be used. I think about, like, how can it contribute to the well-being and welfare of our society, and I guess when I see it, the way I see it being, I'm not privy to those conversations, or I'm not in settings where I can see its benefits necessarily. I'm mostly, working in my own silo behind my computer, and so that's also where my desire and curiosity lies. Is like, how can I learn about the ways in which AI is positively impacting? I know that you're a good vehicle for that, but do you have it? Would you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. So earlier on, I mentioned that I think AI is good for the things that are part of the system one brain, so the executive function. But
Yeah.
what I was having this conversation with Joel in ICF, and we said, well, wouldn't it be great if you could, within the user interface of the AI, it knows that it's good at that system one thing, and it knows it can't do the system two thing. But what if
Hmm.
it can prompt us? So at the right point in a interaction with the tool, um, it prompts us to think about something that does make us go to that creative, innovative space of being human. And it allows us, it gives us the prompt, but then it allows the space for us to do that. And maybe it suggests we go and sit under a tree to do it, or sit
Right.
by water. I don't know, but
Right.
I think we've got to
Come
figure
up with
out
the
that
next best
relationship.
invention.
Yeah, where does it
Right.
serve us best, and how might we help people build the technology and design it in ways that it can be a better partner to humans.
Yeah, and the idea of trust. Like, what
Mm,
am I trusting here
mm,
when I
mm,
put in my information and when I ask it a question? I guess I could be a little more reticent to trusting, but I've been playing around with it more recently with some branding that I'm doing and marketing and just copy for my website, just business
mm,
building, and development. And so that's been interesting for me to work with it. And I see just trusting a little bit and then
mm,
seeing where it could be faulty, but seeing where it could be helpful. And I think it's really just experimenting with it, like on
mhm,
a personal level. Of
mhm,
course, there's people who know exactly what they're doing with AI and how it's useful, but from an entrepreneurial solopreneur perspective,
mm,
it's helpful to have courses to take and iterate and reiterate and have people like you who are doing this work to help us
mm,
along.
mm. It's interesting you use the word trust, and I was thinking, I don't think I would use the word trust with AI. So I don't think I trust it. I don't trust it.
Yeah,
It's a useful tool. It has boundaries, and therefore, what word would I use other than trust? And I was
interesting.
thinking about that. I was thinking probably assurance. Mm. But I understand what you mean. And for me,
Reliability, like you could
yeah, it's the
rely
right.
on it.
Yeah, because for instance, I could use AI to automatically do blogs and put them on my LinkedIn and my socials, etc. I don't do that because I don't trust that it would do it well without me
Okay.
seeing what it's doing. So there's that critical thinking part about either being human or about being me. So I don't trust that it understands me well enough to do that,
Right.
or that it understands how another human is going to read it or perceive it. So yeah, I don't know what that word is, but that's the space that yeah, I delegate some things to it, but I wouldn't delegate everything.
So would you have a conversation with it?
Um, I have interactions with it. You see, I don't see it as a conversation because
Okay.
it's not a thing. It's a thing, a tool. It's not a person.
Like, would you
It's
use it? Some people may use it as like thought partnership or like
mm,
as a coach. Like
mm,
if you use it in that in that relationship, I would. It's interesting to bring up trust because there has to be an element of, for me, there would have to be an element of I'm trusting this thing. Can you trust a thing?
mm. Well, I guess if the output is useful to me, then I would use it. Um, but I'm not going to trust everything it gives me.
Right.
I,
Yeah, it's not accurate. The
yeah,
accuracy.
yeah.
Maybe it's just semantics.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But it's quite funny. Yeah, I'm hesitating to use any language that gives
it
it
has a human component.
correct. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and so what are my expectations around if I'm doing branding, I'm talking about,
Hmm.
what I do, and let's say I'm writing a bio.
Hmm.
Um, would you use it for that purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I do use it for all of those
Okay,
things, and it gives me an output. But I wouldn't, I would want to sanity check it before I sent it to somebody, or
right.
or or like automatically upload it to social. I just wouldn't do that. I know some people do, but I wouldn't.
Okay, so yeah, so what I'm hearing is it's not the end result. Like you're going to
No.
have to, yeah, for
Yes.
sure, edit it. And that's the
Yes.
element of trust too. It's not
Right.
like you're giving it to
Right.
another human, they have a task, and then they go with it.
No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you on that. Okay.
Which is
Um,
interesting because if I had a human assistant, I would
right.
trust them, right? Y-
Yeah.
And I
I
would,
mean, there may be moments
and
when
I've
you wouldn't.
delegate. Yeah, yeah. But if you've got somebody in your team doing all those things, that would be great. But I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't get automated AI doing stuff in a public way.
Well, it sounds like you have a healthy relationship to this tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's an important component of using AI,
Mm,
right? Is that
mm,
what are our expectations of it?
mm. Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking there is like a hammer or something like that, but actually the difference is it's the scale. So with AI, you can have an impact much wider than you could with a hammer. One hammer, you're only going to hit one nail at a time, whereas with AI,
Right.
it could be broadcasting things all over the place. So,
Right. Yeah, and again, if I think about my work, a lot of what I've wondered about is how can AI facilitate, how could it help me edit like video or
mm,
podcasting or, and I guess I run up into feeling frustrated, like, well, if it can help with executive functioning and some ideas around tasks and spreadsheets, can it help me synthesize, some of the tasks that are required for my creative output? And I think it's just meeting those edges and knowing that's the whole part, right? Learning and understanding.
that's quite interesting. So on the podcasting, so when I first started doing my podcast, I could have chosen a synthesized voice, either to synthesize my own voice or to get another AI voice. And then you
Yeah,
upload your text and it would
right.
automatically, or it would read it out. And therefore you could be having a podcast that is with a synthesized voice.
Yeah,
So it takes all of the recording and all of that out of it. I chose not to do that because I care about being human, and that's the whole thing of why
right.
I do what I do. So I
Yeah,
chose not to do that. And the other
right.
thing, when I'm editing my podcast, I also don't use AI to edit. I edit myself
Yeah,
because I do care about the nuance and the meaning that a breath or space takes. And so that rhythm, if you like, I don't know, I wouldn't trust AI to do that. So
yeah,
therefore I edit myself.
right. Yeah, I feel the same way. And I had a graphic designer helping me with, again, this branding that I've been doing. And she's like, well, it's a little bit of AI. And I'm like, I actually don't want AI in
Hmm.
this picture at all.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
let's see how we can not use it,
Yeah.
for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So choice, right, and
Hmm.
values and decisions. So, what else, Susan? As we maybe bring this to a close, what are you
Um,
getting from our conversation? Is there anything further
I think I've
that's
had some aha moments myself there. That the whole piece around trust and then the
Mm,
language I'm using with it. I think that's good for me to go away and reflect on that.
yeah, no, I like that too. That was helpful. I mean, I didn't hear you use the word trust. I brought that in, and
Hmm.
you caught that. So yeah, that's interesting. And I love your diligence around words that are appropriate to this tool and
Hmm.
words that are not.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's where we may get tripped up, or that's where there may be issues, ethically, but also for safety purposes,
Hmm.
mental health purposes.
Hmm.
Um, you're such a wealth of information, and so I really appreciate the work that you do, but your values that you stand for, and that you bring this into this domain. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with in this conversation to think about,
I think
perhaps?
the fear to flow. I think it's for for yourself. Figure out what is it that would help you move from fear to flow. What's that first step? Um, yeah. And, ICF is going to be doing more this year around all of these topics. So um, if you're part of our community, please feel free to reach out. I mean, we're interested in what you're experiencing and what you're expecting from us as we navigate this together.
Hmm. And for the person who's not necessarily a coach, but wants to make sure that they're, staying up to date
Hmm.
and using AI thoughtfully and mindfully, where would you direct them to?
I think find your trusted sources. So
Yeah.
there's an awful lot of stuff out there about AI learning and etc. I think find the sources that you trust within your community or within your profession and start there.
Mm, okay. That's great. Maybe we can have like a take two of like just more practical. Like, this is some of your favorite tools. This
Hmm.
is where you might go. These are
Hmm.
some of the experts that you work with or
Hmm.
have influenced you. But for sure, people should be checking you out. That's for sure. So thank you so much for
Thank you, Julie.
engaging in this conversation with a newbie, admittedly novice AI adopter.
Uh, cool. It's good. Playing is fun.
Though I want to be the expert at the same time. Um, so yeah, thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Julie. Take care.